retired truck driver in his 70s who drove a truck for 50 years and then told me that he was being rent-evicted and he was going to have to call his daughter, his little girl, and ask if he could move into her basement. For all of these people who work so hard and done everything right, my message to you is one of hope. You will have a home that you can afford, a place to live, a place to be safe. Mark Carney has announced that he's bringing back Sean Fraser, the same Liberal housing minister who caused this disaster. You know, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. First of all, the number is wrong. That is Liberal math. I think we all know that Liberal math doesn't add up. We've had them in power for 10 years, and they've missed every single deficit target that they've promised. Now we have Mark Carney making exactly the same, the budget will balance itself kind of commitments. So whenever Liberals present you with numbers, you should be afraid, and very afraid. Literally dozens of announcements of how they were going to accelerate construction. And so what happened after they made all those announcements and those promises? And all the media covered it breathlessly as though it was some new and dynamic change in the system. Well, this year in Toronto, housing and construction is down 58%. It's down 37% in Vancouver, down 21% in Halifax, and down in big cities all across the country. Mark Carney has announced that he's bringing back Sean Fraser, the same Liberal housing minister who caused this disaster. You know, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You won't get a different result unless you do something different. Canada has the most land to build on, yet we have the fewest homes per capita in the G7. And Mark Carney will only make it worse. As head of the Bank of England, his reckless money printing priced an entire generation of British youth out of housing. As Trudeau's economic advisor, he advised openly on the record and in the public realm for massive money printing in 2020, 2021, and thereafter, money printing that later would drive up interest rates and housing costs. And now his plan is to replicate all of the same policies, building up bureaucracies in Ottawa with tens of billions of dollars of new spending on regurgitated and rebranded Liberal programs that will ensure that you will never own a home. He is the same as Justin Trudeau, and the last thing we can afford in this Liberal housing crisis is more of the same. But the good news is we don't have to choose a costly fourth Liberal term of failure. We have a chance for change and hope that home ownership will be restored. And that is why I'm announcing today a plan to build 2.3 million new homes over the next 5 years for a change. And we've got the numbers to back it up. While the Liberals make generalized promises that they've been breaking for the last 10 years, we actually have a breakdown on how we're going to get to these 2.5 million homes. Let's start with the baseline. Canada's building about 245,000 homes a year right now. Our Conservative plan to axe the federal sales tax will increase that by 30,000 homes per year. Second, we are going to incentivize municipalities to cut their development taxes by 50,000 homes. It's $50,000. When you cut the sales tax and the municipal taxes on home building by a total of $100,000 a home, you stimulate well over 50,000 additional home builds to bring it up to about 300,000 homes per year. Next, we will build on this increased construction by requiring municipalities permit 15% more homes per year as a condition of getting federal funding. When you compound that 15% on the 300,000 homes, then by the year, this will get Canada to over 535,000 new homes being built in year 5, at a total of 2 million homes by 2030. But we'll go further. Within 100 days, we'll identify 15% of federal land that is optimal for home building, and we will pre-zone it and sell it off for home building, requiring that builders use the land to build affordable, privately owned homes. Yes, I know Liberals will gasp. They don't want anybody to own a home. They think everybody should live in a government dwelling. We will be selling the land so that Canadians can buy homes that belong to them and that give them the pride of home ownership and the home equity. The Globe and Mail has already identified hundreds of thousands of unidentified thousands of unused and underutilized sites that will unlock at least 288,000 homes for Canadians. When you add it all up, it gets you 2.3 million homes for Canadians in 5 years. For the young Canadian trapped in your parents' basement, for the renter unable to save up for a down payment, for the senior worried about eviction after rents have skyrocketed, like the retired truck driver in his 70s who drove a truck for 50 years and then told me that he was being rent-evicted and he was going to have to call his daughter, his little girl, and ask if he could move into her basement. For all of these people who work so hard and done everything right, my message to you is one of hope. You will have a home that you can afford, a place to live, a place to be safe. That's the Canadian promise.
Hi, Mr. Poilevre.
Good day.
Jen Hodson from the Western Standard.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Last year, Quebec received $14 billion in equalization payments, paid for primarily by taxpayers in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC. And last month, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said that Alberta was no longer agreeable to fund large provinces that can essentially fend for themselves. So what do you say about making equalization payments? You've recently said that you will make no significant changes. And so beyond the ability of building pipelines in the West, why should people in the West vote for you?
Well, that's a long list. First of all, we need to enrich all the provinces, and I'm the only one with a plan to do that. Yesterday, I rolled out a plan to unleash $500 billion of extra economic growth over the next 5 years by repealing the anti-energy law, the Liberal anti-energy law C-69, scrapping the energy cap, getting rid of the tanker ban, rapidly approving resource projects within 6 months, setting up shovel-ready zones that have pre-permitting on mines, pipelines, data centers, power stations, and more. I will rapidly approve LNG Quebec in Saguenay, which will mean that Quebecers will become richer and more prosperous, and that in itself will reduce the burden on taxpayers. So we need to unleash massive economic growth in this country for every single province. Look, after the lost Liberal decade of a declining economy with a smaller GDP than any other, with a smaller GDP growth than any other country in the G7, the Liberals have done nothing but divide provinces against each other. I want to unite this country. I want to unlock a massive boom nationwide of any energy production, home building, and opportunity for Canadians, and that is what's going to bring our people together. Thank you very much.
Hi, Barbara with iPolitics.
Sorry, Barbara with
iPolitics.
iPolitics, thank you.
So over the weekend, the Liberals estimated that your party had rolled out $140 billion in new spending commitments over the next 4 years.
No.
So considering your pledge to find dollar-for-dollar savings, what they are suggesting is that this would lead to cuts to dental care and farmer care programs, as well as removing the Canada Child benefit. So why are you sad that those programs and benefits wouldn't be removed? Can you explain to voters just where you would find those $140 billion in savings?
Well, sir, first of all, the number is wrong. That is Liberal math. I think we all know that Liberal math doesn't add up. We've had them in power for 10 years, and they've missed every single deficit target that they've promised. Now we have Mark Carney making exactly the same, the budget will balance itself kind of commitments. So whenever Liberals present you with numbers, you should be afraid, and very afraid. because their numbers are always wrong. Our approach is that every new dollar of spending should be met with savings, and I've already laid out a lot of those savings. We will be cutting consultants by $10 billion. We will be getting rid of the Liberal programs that give out free drugs. We will get rid of wasteful gun buyback that goes after licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested owners. On top of that, we will generate $70 billion in additional revenue by unlocking the power of our resource sector and stimulating economic growth. That number is calculated by independent economists and validated by the former chief economic analyst of Statistics Canada. So by generating more economic growth, cutting back on Liberal waste and mismanagement, then we will deliver real change so Canadians can afford food and homes and live on safe streets. The choice in this election is that after a lost Liberal decade of rising cost and crime, can you afford a fourth Liberal term, or is it time for a change with a new Conservative government that will cut waste, cap spending, axe taxes, unleash growth so that Canadians can afford food and homes in safe neighborhoods?